Adding and subtracting fractions. Pay close attention to the methods you are about to learn. If you master them, you will be more than ready to conquer algebra or any other higher math. The modern methods of adding and subtraction of fractions do not support nor are difficult at best for use with algebra. The method you are about to learn can be used with any type of fraction. It does not matter if you have more than two fractions. It does not matter if you have a mix of addition, subtraction, multiplication, division of fractions, or a mix of letters and numbers. It does not matter if you can see the least common denominator. It does not matter if it is a proper or improper fraction. If you learn the method that I'm about to teach you, you will arrive at the correct answer easily. Some definitions. Least common denominator. The smallest whole number that the denominators of the fractions to be added or subtracted can be divided into without a remainder. A common denominator is a whole number that the denominators of the fractions to be added or subtracted can both divide into without a remainder. These would be equivalent fractions, not necessarily the lowest common denominator. Proper fraction. A proper fraction is one with a numerator smaller than the denominator. For example, 3/4, where the numerator 3 is smaller than the denominator 4. 5/7, 9/11. An improper fraction is one where the numerator is equal to or larger than the denominator. For example, 2/2. These are equal. 4/3, the numerator 4 is larger than the denominator 3. 7/5, 11/9. These are all examples of improper fractions. Compound fractions, a fraction with a whole number and a fractional component. 2 3/4, 4 5/8, 9 11/16. The improper form above are the compound fractions above are. For 2 3/4, it is 11/4. For 4 5/8, it is 37/8. And for 9 11/16, it is 155/16. You will learn it is easier to add and subtract improper fractions than compound fractions. Later you will learn how to convert improper fractions to compound fractions and how to convert a compound fraction to an improper fraction. Take the example here in adding fractions of 1/2 plus 5/8 equals some new fraction. We can see that the least common denominator is 8 because 2 will divide into 8 equally without a remainder. So we will use it. Always start with the fraction on the left and work your way over. 8 is, again, our least common denominator. 2 divides into 8 4 times. 8 divides into 8 1 time. 2 divides into 8 4 times. 1 times 4. We have 1 times 4 here. 8 divides into 8 1 time. 5 times 1. Again, 1 times 4 over 2 plus 5 plus 1 over 8 equals n over 8. 1 times 4 is 4. 5 times 1 is 5. So we have 4/2 plus 5/8. We just have to now add the numerators and pay attention to the sign. 4 we place over here. We have a plus sign, so I put a plus, and then we bring the 5 over. 4 plus 5 equals 9 over the least common denominator 8. 9/8 is an improper form, but we're going to use it for now. 1 times 4 over 2 plus 5 over 1, 8 equals 4 plus 5 over 9 equals 9/8 again. We will learn how to convert this number to a compound fraction later on. Let's revisit what we just learned. Assume we can't see the least common denominator in the same fractions. So rather than struggle, we just multiply the denominators. 2 times 8 equals 16. 2 divides into 16 8 times. 8 divides into 16 2 times. So we have 1 times 8 plus 5 times 2. We have 8. 1 times 8 equals 8. 5 times 2 equals 10. So we have 8 comes over here. We have a plus sign. We put in the plus. 10, we bring that over. 8 plus 10 equals 18 over 16, and we can reduce that to 9 over 8. If you notice, once we reduce this fraction, we didn't see the least common denominator before, but once we reduce the fraction, there is our least common denominator. So if they ever ask you on an exam, what is the least common denominator, you can use this method and then reduce, and there will be your least common denominator. To get a common denominator, just multiply all the denominators and divide by each into the common. For example, here's 3 fractions that we're going to add together. We don't need to do these 2 fractions, get a result, and then add it to this. We can do it all in one step. 2 times 3 is 6, times 4 is 24. 2 divides into 24 12 times. 3 divides into 24 8 times, and 4 divides into 24 6 times. So 1 times 12 is 12, 2 times 8 is 16, 3 times 6 is 18. We have 12 plus 16 plus 18. And we put the 12 over here. Watch the sign, it's a plus. 16, watch the sign, it's a plus. 18. 12 plus 16 plus 18 equals 46. Over 24, we can reduce that to 23 over 12. There's our least common denominator, even though we didn't know it before. Subtraction fractions is the same as adding. The only difference is that we have to pay attention to the sign. 1/2 plus, these are the same numbers, 1/2 plus 2/3 minus 3/4 equals n over 24. 2 divides into 24 12 times again. 3 divides into 24 8 times. 4 divides into 24 6 times. So we have 1 times 12, 2 times 8, 3 times 6. We have 12. We put it over here. Watch, it's a plus sign, so we put a plus. 16, put it over here, but we have a minus sign here, so we put a minus. And then we add this all up. 12 plus 16 equals 28, minus 18 equals 10 over 24. The answer is 5/12. There's our least common denominator, even though we didn't notice it before. All the numbers in these 2 examples of adding and one adding and subtracting were the same numbers. The only difference is that the sign means that we're subtracting the 18 from the sum of 12 plus 16. Don't forget to click on the link below to take an online quiz before you move on to the next module 3. Make sure you master it before you do, and it'll be to your benefit.